Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Friday, March 18th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. They all want the same thing, access to the United States. And tonight, both Ukrainian and Russian war refugees are at the U.S.-Mexico border hoping to get in. But as KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman tells us, some immigration advocates are calling for fairness and don't want skin color impacting asylum decisions.
The San Diego Rapid Response Network says more Ukrainians and Russians are seeking refuge through San Ysidro. The local organization works to shelter immigrants and help connect them with family or friends in the U.S. They say that numbers are climbing as the war intensifies.
Our recently arrived guests from Ukraine tend to be female heads of household with their children. Our guests have shared that their spouses have stayed behind to fight for Ukraine's continued independence.
Russians are coming in larger numbers. Advocates say it appears that border officials treat them better compared to those seeking asylum from Mexico and South American countries.
Every single person I spoke to from Russia either was working in opposition to Putin before the invasion, but most had been arrested after protesting the invasion of Ukraine. And after that fled Russia. So, and these are people who were protesting right at the start of the invasion. So again, we anticipate seeing even more people fleeing as the invasion goes on.
Immigration attorneys say some Ukrainians are being allowed into the U.S., but it's being done selectively. Border officials have discretion to keep people out of the country because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but those officials can also make exceptions on a case-by-case basis for what they call humanitarian reasons.
We do know from anecdotal evidence that Black, Brown, and LGBTQ people are being disproportionately harmed by this policy.
While Ukrainians and Russians are grabbing headlines, they only make up about 15% of the refugees at the San Diego Rapid Response Network shelter.
As dedicated as we are to helping these new arrivals who deserve nothing more to find safety after all they have endured, we cannot forget about the tens of thousands of other asylum seekers from around the world who remain stranded at our southern border because of cruel and inhumane policies.
Advocates hope to see the asylum process improve to help everyone fleeing violence, no matter where they're from. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And President Biden sends a stern warning to China. Don't help Russia with its war or face consequences. Reporter Gloria Pazmino with more on the heavy price they could pay.
China could face economic sanctions from the U.S. and Western European nations if it decides to help the Russian military's attack against Ukraine. The White House says Biden and Xi held a joint video call for an hour and 50 minutes Friday morning. The meeting comes at a pivotal point for ties between the U.S. and China. In advance of the meeting, the U.S. Secretary of State previewed the administration's views.
And we're concerned that they're considering directly assisting Russia with military equipment to use in Ukraine.
If Xi provides that support, it could cause a clash between the U.S., China, and Western European nations. China could face serious economic risk with trading partners in Western Europe and the U.S. So far, Beijing has refrained from voicing clear support or opposition to Russia's invasion.
There were some explosions. I heard the noise, and then I looked right away and I saw a column of smoke rising.
Attacks continue across Ukraine. Officials in Lviv said a Russian missile struck a location near the city's airport. As the Russian military pushes west, residents in Ukraine say they fear the danger of the attacks and leaving their loved ones behind.
It's scared to leave all family.
Gloria Pazmino, KPBS News.
And here's some good news about COVID-19. Community levels and projected deaths are down. Now officials are talking about the transition out of the emergency phase. Amy Kiley reports that means relaxing restrictions and preparing for the future.
We want to make sure that people have an opportunity to relax their mitigation strategies when things are good, as they are right now.
Health officials are starting to talk about transitioning out of the COVID-19 emergency phase. Here are the numbers behind that good news. Less than 1% of people in the U.S. now live in areas with high community levels. So the CDC recommends few people need to wear a mask in indoor public spaces.
It's not too soon if you observe the caveat that's associated with that. And the caveat is we need to be flexible.
More good news is the CDC forecasts a decline in weekly COVID deaths.
Our hospitals are not full, but then that they should put that mask in a drawer.
A resurgence could come from an Omicron subvariant that spreads quickly.
I would not be surprised given the fact that we've begun to open up and we have an increase in the BA2 variant that we'll be seeing an increase in cases.
Experts say it might not be as deadly as other variants, especially if people are boosted. Moderna says it's asking the FDA to authorize another booster for emergency use for adults. Pfizer wants another one for those 65 and older. The final bit of good news is hope for the future.
This may very well become a seasonal disease where the amplitude of disease, the amount of disease that's out there gets less and less over time.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The U.S. is extending its public transportation mask mandate another month instead of letting it expire today. Canada says it plans to lift its pre-entry testing requirement on April 1st for those who are fully vaccinated. Sometimes San Diego's decades-old issue of homelessness can seem nearly impossible to solve. But today, a big step forward for some of the most vulnerable people experiencing homelessness. KPBS reporter John Carroll shows us the place more than 50 previously homeless seniors now call home.
About 1,000 people who are homeless in San Diego are seniors over the age of 55. That's according to the 2020 point-in-time count from the Regional Task Force on the Homeless. But now that number has fallen a bit because of this place.
And I want to welcome you to Ivy Senior Apartments.
Ivy Senior Apartments, a beautiful new building on Mount Alafan Drive in Claremont. It's been open for several weeks now, but today was the official opening. This place has everything a person needs to live a dignified, healthy life. All the apartments are centered around this spacious courtyard. There are 52 single occupancy units here at the Ivy Apartments, including number 304. This is the home of Gregorio Avalos.
When I came, that furniture was here in the little one.
Before arriving here several weeks ago, Gregorio Avalos had been living in an Alpha Project facility, a big tent filled with bunk beds.
The beds, they are very close, like 3 feet, you know, and somebody want to do like this, you know, and I turn to another side, another guy, they do the same.
But now Avalos has this spacious studio. He says it's the nicest place he's ever lived. Back downstairs at the opening ceremony, the importance of this day underlined by the big-name political leaders who came.
It isn't just about helping people, it's that people deserve housing and services that go along with housing.
A portion of those services are being provided here by St. Paul's PACE, a program that helps seniors to stay in their homes. Carol Hubbard from PACE drove home the importance of that through a series of questions about the challenges faced by seniors experiencing homelessness.
How do they deal with pain in their knees, their necks, their hands? How do they do that when they're sleeping on a hard surface?
Gregorio Avalos, along with everyone else living here, doesn't have to worry about things like that anymore. Not even close.
Everything they have in the apartment is good, and I feel like I'm a rich guy.
John Carroll, KPBS News.
A local lawmaker is proposing a new law in response to the high number of deaths reported at San Diego County jails. Assemblymember Akilah Weber says at least 2 in-custody deaths have been reported just this week. Last month, a report by the California State Auditor found the Sheriff's Department did not take sufficient steps to prevent people from dying while in its custody.
Audit revealed that there were 185 deaths. 185 deaths in San Diego County jails between 2006 and 2020. San Diego in-custody deaths were higher than any other county in California.
Assembly Bill 2343, also referred to as the Saving Lives in Custody Act, will focus on best practices for performing intake health evaluations, training, safety checks, and more. Confirmation hearings for the Supreme Court nomination of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson begins on Monday, and as Karen Kafa reports, the debate over her qualifications is already underway.
When President Biden nominated the first black woman to the Supreme Court last month, Ketanji Brown Jackson gave a nod to another trailblazer.
Today, I proudly stand on Judge Motley's shoulders, sharing not only her birthday, but also her steadfast and courageous commitment to equal justice.
Jackson referenced Constance Baker Motley, the first black woman to serve as a federal judge. Now Jackson is poised to inspire another generation of black women in law and shape the nation's highest courts.
For too long, our government, our courts, haven't looked like America.
Jackson was nominated to fill the seat soon to be vacated by Justice Stephen Breyer, for whom she clerked after graduation from Harvard Law School. Breyer will retire at the end of the court's current term.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The evenly divided Senate confirmed Jackson to her current seat on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia just last June on a 53-44 vote. Republicans aren't expected to make Jackson's Supreme Court hearings too messy. The court will still have a 6-3 conservative majority after Jackson takes her seat, but some areas of her legal career could draw scrutiny.
She's clearly a sharp lawyer with an impressive resume, but when it comes to the Supreme Court, a core qualification is judicial philosophy.
As Jackson has made the rounds on Capitol Hill, GOP senators have indicated her time as a public defender will be one of those areas, including work representing detainees at the U.S. military prison at Guantanamo Bay, and her views on the role of race in the U.S. criminal justice system. Democrats will emphasize Jackson's credentials and character at a groundbreaking moment.
Well, I can just tell you that she's a person of quality, integrity, and values, and she has the support across the political spectrum to prove it.
Senate Democratic leaders hope to wrap the process with a final floor vote by April 8th. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
From 12th place last year to 7th place this year, the city of Poway is among the safest cities to live in California and the safest in San Diego. New research from SafeWise revealed the safest cities and the city in the country, which is Poway's slogan, reported crime rates below state, regional, and national averages. The median income is just under $108,000 and about 50,000 residents live there. San Marcos came in at 23rd, Santee came in at 27th, and the city of Encinitas was ranked just above that at number 28 on the list. The very top of the list, the third-time winner, is Danville, which is east of Oakland. Tonight, we're continuing our look at the city of Oceanside and how the community is changing. As KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne shows us, some locals feel that gentrification is killing the last affordable coastal city in the county.
Natalie Sanchez lives with her parents, brother, and 2 kids in the Libby Lake neighborhood of Oceanside.
It's a 2-bedroom house, 1 bath. So it's a little difficult, but now with prices soaring and everything, it's hard to purchase a bigger house.
They lived in the same house for 25 years. She was looking to purchase her own home in Oceanside, but the only homes within her budget were in Temecula.
We're rooted here. We don't want to move from here. But at this point, it's kind of like, well, should we move over there? Because that's what we could afford.
The city is undergoing a lot of change. 2 new beachfront resorts opened their doors less than a year ago, and trendy restaurants and cafes are filling downtown. Aaron and Roddy Browning, the owners of the Flying Pig Pub and Kitchen, say that's exactly why they moved their restaurant to the downtown area.
We have a lot of catching up to do, and this change is good for that because it's stimulating people coming to Oceanside.
While they welcome the new business, they say many locals don't feel the same way.
We have a lot of regulars that are not extremely excited about it because, you know, they want to keep Oceanside the way Oceanside was, and as much as we loved it as well, I think it's important to recognize that change is going to happen with or without you.
But he hopes the very locals that saved his business during the pandemic will get involved in city council meetings to preserve some of Oceanside's originality.
I think it's important that we do keep it a locals town. You know, we will embrace the tourism, but nobody wants this to turn into just a tourist destination completely. That's going to take all the soul and flavor out of Oceanside. That's not what we want.
Many tourists are making Oceanside their next destination. So says Ben Fairchild with the Mission Pacific Hotel and Seabird Resort.
Now they're starting to explore a new seaside destination in Oceanside. What's new and what's next? This is the new hip part of Southern California that prior really hasn't been explored.
Fairchild says the new resorts are projected to bring in $3.4 million in tax revenue when stabilized. He says that as tourism and events pick up, the resorts will have more job opportunities and boost the local economy. But prices are also going up. The average home now costs more than $700,000, beyond what many working families can afford. But Christy Hawthorne with the Oceanside Historical Society says it isn't gentrification. It's something everyone is seeing.
That's happening everywhere, not just Oceanside. And the home prices that continue at this point in time continue to skyrocket, are skyrocketing all over Southern California and San Diego County. It's not because new development is happening. The Oceanside property values are skyrocketing. They were going to skyrocket with this economy that's happening right now, unfortunately.
Home values have increased everywhere, but not as fast of a rate as in Oceanside. Sanchez, whose family has lived in the city for 25 years, can feel that plainly. She says Oceanside is gentrifying, and locals in neighborhoods like the ones she lives in are getting forgotten.
All the funding has been going to tourism. You know, they forget about all these little neighborhoods. They're developing new housing, but they're developing housing that the minorities or people that have been here in Oceanside can't afford.
She is helping members in the community be more active in city council meetings and speak up in an effort to be heard. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
California is bracing for another dry, drought-stricken year by reducing water allocations. State water officials said today they'll only give 5% of the water requested, down from 15%. Major reservoirs remain below normal levels, and Californians aren't saving as much water as officials hoped. On top of that, the state may end the month recording the driest January through March in at least a century.
There's no way to make up at this point for January, February, and, a good bit of March at this point, where we've had really unseasonably dry weather.
The San Diego County Water Authority says our region uses very little water from the Bay Delta, and even with reduced allocations, the Water Authority has reliable water supplies for 2022 and beyond. However, they are still urging San Diegans to use water wisely.
We're talking cooler times working their way on in as we go through tonight, and it's all going to lead up to the chance for a couple showers. Now, if you're a rain lover, don't get excited. This is not going to be a lot of rain, but it will come in throughout the overnight hours. It could put a damper on a few plans if you're one of those that might be staying out a little bit later. Notice here we are talking about the clouds returning for us as we head through tonight. Onshore flow starts to kick in this evening for us, and that's when we see some of those numbers start to change around a bit for us. 58 for the low, 49 in Oceanside, and we're headed to 47 in Mount Laguna. Again, more clouds, more moisture streaming in ahead of this storm system. The core of it taking aim much farther to the north. Northern California getting the most beneficial rain. We'll see that rain pretty steady at times through central California. For us, though, in Southern California, it's a few fleeting showers, and that's going to be through Saturday night. That's why it's not on the board there for Saturday. As you can see, though, our setup does involve more clouds. Tomorrow, 70 for that high with extra clouds, and we're seeing those clouds in Chula Vista too. Moisture again coming off the Pacific. We'll change those numbers, and then we add in that chance of showers. So Saturday morning, tomorrow morning, looking at the clouds out there, they're going to kind of continue off and on. We'll get some pockets of sunshine out there, but adding more moisture into midnight hour. That's when the rain really is starting to work its way in. Some heavier showers confined to the coast and maybe even the mountains, but probably not making much to the deserts. It's quieting down for us by Sunday morning, and Sunday afternoon looking dry and bright for us. So Sunday, that storm exiting through the interior, we're just left with kind of that cool air still hanging around. The coast here, we do have that chance again for some showers Saturday night into Sunday, still keeping the cool breezy weather into Sunday, which does hang out in the mid-60s. And we're in the mid-60s on Sunday for our inland locations. That's after a soft on cloudy day as we go through Saturday. Nighttime showers again still possible. Mountain communities back to the 40s for Sunday. We'll rebound into next week. It does get a lot warmer as we move through time, and desert communities are headed to the 80s next week after a brief cool down on Sunday. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Melissa Constanzer.
The biggest event in television and sports this weekend is March Madness in San Diego. As part of the action, SDSU's Miro Kopik has the local impact in the Friday Business Report.
Anytime there's a big national event, San Diego is a great place for tourism. And, the tournament is back for the 5th time in San Diego. There's 8 teams from 7 states. And we're talking about a lot of visitors to San Diego during what in some cases starts to become spring break for colleges and universities. Economically, the San Diego Tourism Authority basically said that the economic impact to the city of San Diego is about $6 to $10 million. So, just to put it in context, the 4-day Comic-Con extravaganza brings in over $130 million to the San Diego economy. So this is, kind of a medium event, but it's very important from a prestige factor for the city of San Diego, being that it's a high-profile national tournament with a lot of viewers. And so when they can showcase the city of San Diego, it'll certainly provide incentive for the millions of viewers on TV to come to San Diego sometime in the near future.
San Diego musicians are banding together to help those in Ukraine. A free concert will be held at Balboa Park on Saturday. The goal is to raise funds for humanitarian efforts and advocate for peace. Raul Prieto Ramirez is the artistic director for the Spreckles Oregon Society, which is hosting the event.
I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to raise awareness of what is going on and advocate unequivocally for peace. Music can remind us about who we are and how we are. And I try to do that every day, and doing on this particular concert is it's really special for me.
The San Diego Diplomacy Council is also supporting the concert. All donations will go to Operation USA, which will direct the funds to Ukrainian refugees. Looking for a scare at the movies this weekend? KPBS Cinema Junkie Beth Accomando is recommending the new horror film X that opens today.
Farmer's daughter, take one. I need to be famous, Wayne. All the best people are.
There ain't nobody else out there like you.
X, directed by Ty West, opens with a group of people arriving at a rural Texas farm to shoot a porno. But the elderly couple living in the nearby house are not exactly what they expected.
What? Are you all right?
No. I knew I was in good hands from the moment the film started. West quickly and cleverly let me know that he's referencing a tradition of 70s horror, Texas Chainsaw Massacre in particular, but in a new way. In his previous films, West displayed talent, but no single film was a knockout, until now.
He don't know what we're doing, does he?
Well, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
West pays homage to a legacy of indie horror while tweaking genre tropes in ways that are both satiric and anxiety-inducing. And on a certain level, he shows that old age might be the most horrific thing you can put on the screen. Distributor A24 adds another unique, well-crafted horror film to its ever-expanding collection of genre gems. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
San Diego has a new county-wide spelling bee champion tonight. KPBS education reporter MG Perez introduces us to the 6th grade student from Poway who beat out 60 other young spellers.
Let's begin with his name.
My first name, M-I-H-I-R, Mihir. Last name, Konkapaka, K-O-N-K-A-P-A-K-A, Konkapaka.
Tonight, Mahir Kankapaka is the 52nd annual San Diego County Spelling Bee champion. He's an 11-year-old sixth grader from Poway Unified, and he beat out 60 other middle school students who had a list of more than 4,000 words to study.
Can I have the definition, please?
May you repeat the word, please? Can you use it in a sentence?
Can you please give me the definition?
Welcome to the 52nd annual.
The county spelling bee was virtual again this year because of COVID. 11 rounds of words led to this moment.
Sabreur. S-A-B-R-E-U-R.
Correct.
Congratulations, this is the moment.
The winning word means a person who fences with a light dueling sword. Here is how Mahir figured it out.
It's like fencing, so like saber, you know, like a lightsaber. It's like a sword thing. So I already found out like the S-A-B-R-E part, and then like just based on like all of the words that I practiced, those 4,000 words, French had the weirdest spellings of all of them. So I was like, it's gonna be E-U-R because it's not gonna be as simple as like I-R or E-R.
The middle school champion is also an inventor and coder with his own YouTube channel.
Welcome everybody to another Python program explaining video on it.
He won his school spelling bee back in January. His proud parents have supported him all the way.
It's pretty exciting. It's pretty tense. And some words that he got were pretty complicated. I never even heard of them, most of them.
What is your hope for your son?
That he pursues, his interests and finds success and is also happy.
Pronunciation again?
Kookaburra.
Kookaburra. Mahir is a champion well beyond his years, and now he will take his talent to the Scripps National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C., June 2nd. Meanwhile, it's time for more practice.
Referral, aerial surgeon, Judaism.
MG Perez, KPBS News.
Well, congratulations to him. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. I hope you have a great night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.